Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, and also welcome to the first episode of my pencil review series. This is the colored pencil review series that I had been mentioning that I was going to do. Now, I know I've got a lot of new subscribers that's come through lately because of our giveaway and because of the color along that is going to be happening in December. So you can go back onto my channel and look at those videos. I don't want to touch on that today because this is going to be something a little different. So I had mentioned a while back ago that I was going to start a color pencil review series because when I color, I am definitely a color pencil gal, and I have a lot of sets of colored pencils. I have regular colored pencils, and I also have watercolor pencils too. And I've also got things from very, very budget friendly stuff all the way up to some very super high-end stuff. So I have the whole gamut, and there's obviously some sets that I don't have. And so this review series is going to be showing you what I do have and what I end up picking up in the future. Okay, so we're going to start out with some budget-friendly pencils. And so I thought I would go ahead and focus on that because I know a lot of you color on a budget, and not everybody can afford the super high-end stuff. I mean, you know, we're talking even Prismacolors, all the way up to polychromos, and then of course we have like luminance, and the biggest one is Holbein. Okay, but in this series we're going to start out with some budget friendly stuff right now because this is where everybody starts, and when you're new to coloring, it's not a good idea to get, there's two schools of thoughts on this. Okay, so if you're starting out with coloring and if you're looking for a set of colored pencils, the first thing is to obviously do your homework. You know, look at some reviews, look at some YouTube videos, maybe look at some people coloring with a set that you may be interested in and see what they have to say about it. Look at more than one review because these things are very subjective in opinion, and not everybody has the same opinion about things. Okay, so but when you're starting out, now as I said, there's two schools of thoughts with this. One school of thought is that when you're starting off with coloring, get something that's very budget friendly to help you decide if you really like coloring, because there's times where you start to dive into a hobby and then you decide that, you know, this isn't for me. And then it would be a waste of money to invest in a high-end set of colored pencils and then end up deciding that you don't like to color at all. And so then you're stuck with this set of colored pencils that you're not going to use and that you've splurged a lot of money for. However, the other school of thought is to right away invest in a good set of colored pencils because they lay down color very easily for the most part. Many of them do, and they're easy to work with. So it's, you know, there's just varying opinions on this kind of thing. So you have to do what you feel is best for you and go from there, because in the coloring world, everything is very subjective. Okay. But we're going to start out with some budget-friendly stuff. Now, this series is going to be called PencilMania, and I will make a playlist for, I think what I'll end up doing is making two separate playlists. One for the more budget-friendly pencils, from budget-friendly up to mid-range, and then I'll make another playlist of some higher mid-range stuff all the way up to the real high-end stuff. That way, if you're interested in just budget-friendly stuff, you can look at that playlist, or if you're interested in some better quality, higher-end pencils, then you can look at that playlist. And I think that'll be a good idea to do it that way. But the series as a whole is going to be called PencilMania, so you'll be able to know that this is going to be a color pencil review series when the video is going to be titled PencilMania. Did I say Pennsylvania? It's going to be PencilMania, and it's going to be like episode 1 or 2, and then it'll state which color pencil set that's going to be reviewed. So what's going to happen in this particular series is I'm going to show you the pencils, and I will have the pencils swatched out because I do have a swatch book that I have started. Now, to me, there's some of you that really enjoy the swatching process. To me, it's very tedious, so it's kind of like, oh, when I have to swatch the pencils, ugh. But I do like to go ahead and swatch them out anyway, even though I find it's a tedious chore, because then you have all the colors laid out in front of you. You're able to see what you got at your disposal and all that stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at the first set of pencils. Okay, so the first set of pencils that I'm going to review today is the ones from Castle Art. Okay, so this is going to be, let me get the tin here. It says 72 premium colored pencils, and this is from Castle Art Supplies, okay? So when I can, I will show them in their original packaging. However, you're gonna find that a lot of my colored pencils, I've taken them out of the original packaging and I put them in pencil cases because that's just how I like to do my to store my pencils. It's easier for me that way, and it keeps them better organized, and it's just, I hate messing with the tins and the flimsy trays and stuff. But these right now, I still have them in their original casing, okay? So let me show you what the pencils actually look like. Now, there are quite a few things about these pencils that I like, and there's a few things about these pencils that I do not like, okay? And we're gonna be talking about this in this video. So we have, this tin, the inside of the tin here, it's got a picture. Now, as I was reading a little bit more about these pencils, they designed these colors, and there's 72 colors in here. They designed these colors to be able to go with like castles in Scotland and Europe and that kind of stuff. So ergo, you know, castle art. They wanted the colors to kind of represent maybe coloring castles or buildings and things like that, okay? So on the inside of the tin, it says you can join the Castle Art Club today to show off your masterpieces. And it says www.castleartsupplies.com to join. So it looks like that they may be doing contests there, and I guess you can show off your work and stuff using these pencils and things like that. So I think when these are made, as a lot of colored pencils were, with the artist in mind, like, you know, the ones that actually draw and sketch and all that. And so these were definitely made before the adult coloring trend took off, okay? So a lot of times you're gonna see colored pencil reviews with the sketch artist in mind and colored pencil artist in mind. However, colored pencils are definitely a medium of choice for many, many colorists who love to color in coloring books. So now let's go ahead and look at what is inside here. Now there's a little card that comes inside this, and it says, "Attention, Art Club open now." So they got, it's just talking about joining the Castle Art Club and so forth. So it's just a little advertisement there. And then it's got a little material, kind of felt material there that supposedly holds them in place, okay? But let's go ahead and look at the pencils themselves, okay? So we're gonna have several trays of these. Now, the pencils, let me go ahead and take everything out. This is the first tray right here. And these trays are very flimsy, so when you take them out, you're gonna see that they bend. I hate dealing with these trays. I really, really, really do. So when I get a pencil case, they're going to be in a pencil case rather than in this tin. And then here is the second tray, okay? And then here is the third tray. Like so. And then this is just the inside of the tin. Okay, so we're gonna put the tin aside for now. And let me go ahead and show you one of the pencils. And now here is a couple of things that I don't like about these pencils. The pencils have a dark brown barrel. And so you don't have the color on the actual barrel, but you have a representation of the color right here on the end. Now sometimes the representation is spot on, and I'll show you the swatches in a minute. Sometimes it's spot on, sometimes it is not. So you can't always go by what is on the end of the pencil. You're just gonna have to swatch them out and just see what the actual color is. Now one thing that I don't like about these is there's no number or any kind of name on these pencils. It just says Castle Art Supplies both on the barrel and then on the colored part here. So there's no number, there is no name. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's no number or no name on these pencils, and I'll just turn it around so you guys can see this. So it makes it really bad because most colored pencil sets at least have a number. It's ideal if it has a name on there, but a lot of times that goes to more like mid-range to artist quality pencils. So a lot of your budget-friendly pencils are not going to have a name on there. Sometimes they will have a number, sometimes not. And also budget-friendly pencils you cannot get in open stock. So let's say you have a favorite color in this set that you use a lot, you know, maybe 2 or 3 favorite colors, and they run low. You're either not going to have that color anymore when you run out, or you're going to have to get another set of these pencils. Now on Amazon, and what I will do is I will link everything that I'm going to use in this video on Amazon. I'll put links to Amazon so you can purchase the items if you want to. And just as a little disclaimer, I am an Amazon affiliate, so anytime you purchase anything from the links that I provide, I get a small, tiny little commission back, and that just goes right back into this channel to help support it so that I can show new supplies and new coloring books and things, and that way I can do these color pencil reviews and things like that you're gonna see. So 2 things that I do not like about these pencils is, well, 3 actually. You can't get them open stock, as per a lot of your budget-friendly pencils. Number 2, they do not have at least a number. There's no numbers on these, and there's definitely no names on these either. And you don't get the color on the barrel, you just get the representation on the end, okay? And sometimes it's not always accurate. So there's 3 things that leave a lot to be desired in that area. However, they do lay down very nicely, which we are going to see. Now, these are, you can get the 72 set of pencils for, I believe on Amazon it sells for like 21 or 22 bucks right now. I think it's $21.99. And so, which is pretty inexpensive for 72 color pencils. And these are actually very nice pencils, you know, for the money that you're going to pay for these are actually very nice pencils, which we are actually going to look at in just a minute. Because also what's going to happen in this video is, I was talking about what we're going to see in these review series. We're going to look at the swatches, we're going to look at the pencils, and then we're going to talk about what I like and what I don't like about them. We'll look at them in-depthly. And then we're also going to do a little bit of coloring with them. So we're going to do just a little session of color and gab, which I will talk about the pencils mainly, but we'll probably interject a few other things in there too. So that's what's going to happen in these PencilMania videos, okay? Now, let's go ahead and color with these pencils, and I'm going to show you just why I really enjoyed these pencils, despite the 3 main things that I don't like. These are actually very nice colored pencils. And let me just show you the bottom of the tin. You can kind of see some color swatches right there too. And it just talks about these pencils on the tin right there, just like any other tin, you know, with the companies and stuff. You get the Castle Art website, and then you just get like a little blurb and so forth. Okay, so we're not gonna go over that too much. But let me go ahead and set these back inside. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of coloring, and I'm going to just show you how these pencils work and what I like about them. Now, I am usually of the mind that, you know, you get what you pay for, and these are not very expensive at all. And so sometimes when you get more inexpensive things, they're not going to be as good. And no, they're not. These things are not going to be polychromos. They're not going to be Prismacolors, so keep that in mind. But for the money that you're going to pay for these are actually very nice. And I'm going to show you why when we get to coloring. Okay, so I'm going to be coloring in. Let me just show you the book that we're going to be coloring in today. Now, if you watch one of my other coloring gabs, you will see that I've colored in this book here. This is Wine Life coloring book, and I had picked this up some time back. In September, I believe it was. And so in one of my coloring gabs, I started on a picture in here, and I have not had a chance to finish it. So we got this much done in the coloring gab, and I have not touched it since. But what I thought we would do to look at blending and shading is there's a lot of bigger spaces in here with the patterns around our little saying here. And our little saying here, it just says, don't ever think you have it that bad. Somewhere in the world, someone just ran out of wine. So this book has quite a few little funny sayings about wine and stuff. And the paper in here is not the greatest. It kind of feels like that Create Space paper. So we're going to see how these pencils react on a lot of coloring books. You're not going to have great paper in it. Now, some of them are exceptions to the rules. But a lot of coloring books are going to have just, you know, kind of thinner paper in it because it is a coloring book. It's not really meant to be mixed media or watercolor or anything like that. So we're going to see how these react on just kind of regular coloring book paper. Okay, so we're going to color this picture, and I'm going to grab some pencils, and we're going to color some of these bigger spaces and look at blending and shading and color lay down and stuff. Okay, so I will be right back as soon as I grab some colors, and we're going to get started. Okay, one thing that I forgot to show you guys, is I promised that I was going to show you guys, is I did want to show you the swatches of these pencils, because I did make a swatch sheet for them. So let me just show you just what the colors look like laid down here. Okay, so we're going to, now I have this big notebook here and it's a little awkward. So I have 2 pages of these. As I said, there's 72 colors in here. So here is page number 1 with the first 50 colors, and I swatched them as they came in the box. So I tried to organize them the way that they came and swatch them that way. Again, there's no numbers or no names or anything. And then here is the last 22 colors in here, okay? So what you're gonna have to do when you're picking out your colors is you can look at your barrels and see, not your barrels, but like on the outside color here, where you can see the color representation, you can look and see if the color matches up with whatever swatch that you have, and then you can decide if you want to use that color or just take a piece of paper and, you know, pick a couple of colors and see how well it works, and you know, just kind of color out just a little bit on the piece of paper and just look at it that way, because you're not going to get sometimes a good representation of the color a lot of times by the barrel. It just sometimes it isn't going to happen. All right, so we're going to look at this page here, and we're going to start coloring in some of these bigger patterns. Okay, so before we actually get started coloring, I'm going to give another little disclaimer. Now, I am coloring with a visual impairment. I know I have a lot of new subscribers that's come onto the channel lately, so I wanted to let you guys know. And I also say this at on every video that I color in, that I do color with the visual impairment, and so that means I have to get close to my work so I can see what I'm doing. So I try to keep my head out of the way to a minimum, but sometimes you're going to see it in there, but just I try to do the best that I can. But again, it's the nature of the beast that I'm dealing with, so, you know, please bear with me and you know, try to hang in. But I do try my best to keep the you know, so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing here. What we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 colors. I have a dark, a medium, and a light, and we're going to just see how this is going to work. Now, you may want to sharpen these pencils a little bit more. They come pre-sharpened, but they're a little bit blunt. If you want a sharper tip on them, you're going to have to sharpen them up just a little bit. Now, I have used these pencils before because, as I said, I've started a project in this book. So what we're going to do is we're just going to see how these things shade and blend and stuff. And we're going to look at color lay down. So we're going to start out with a darker purple, and we're going to go lighter. Okay, so we're going to start out here on this big piece here, and hopefully we are going to be in frame. Okay, so how we're going to do this is, and a lot of people, you know, people color differently, but I'm going to try to lay down some darker color, and then we're going to just blend and shade it out and go lighter and lighter and stuff. Okay. So I'm just going like really light with this pencil right now. And it lays down very nicely. You can always layer it. Now, these are wax-based pencils. Many of your budget-friendly pencils are wax-based, as these are. But even with the real light layer, these do great. So I'm gonna layer just a little bit more. These do great with layering. And you can also press down a little bit more if you want to, like maybe add a medium pressure. The thing about these pencils is that they're pretty pigmented. You know, for the money that you're going to spend on these, you know, these are pretty pigmented, and they lay down very nicely. I have to say, they really do. So sometimes people that like to color, they have problems with their hands or their wrists, like from carpal tunnel or tendonitis and stuff. And so a lot of times the harder pencils, people are going to have a harder time with them because they're harder to work with, and you have to press down a lot to get your color out, and so then it hurts your hand, and people kind of there's people that shy away from coloring because of that. And so these pencils, they are actually pretty good for that. You don't have to press very hard to get color out of these. I'm doing a pretty light layer. Now, a lot of times what people will do to get an even lighter layer is to hold the pencil back like this. You know, the farther you go back, the lighter it's going to lay down. However, I have a hard time controlling it when I hold it back like that. So I try to just keep in mind the pressure of my hand as I'm putting down the color. Okay, so we're going to go with our next color. And we're going to add our next color here, just kind of a little bit over the top of what we've already done. And there we go. Just have to make sure that I'm in frame. So again, I'm just doing kind of a light layer here over this, and I can always press down a little bit more or just add another layer to this. So I'm just going to go over it. And I mean, it does blend very nicely. It really does, and it shades very nicely. You'll be able to see even more when I grab my lighter color. And we'll mix that in with it too. And I'm not really pressing hard at all on these pencils, and you can see the color lay down you get. Now you can always press down on it a little bit more to get more color out. See, the harder you press, the more color you're going to get. But the harder you press and the more color you get, the more you're going to end up sharpening your pencil, especially when you have a soft core pencil. And these pencils are actually pretty darn soft. They really are. So now we're starting with we're going to put the lighter color on here. Okay. And then we'll take it up and we'll blend it to the darker one, or the medium color that we had. Now some of these colors are going to look a little similar, but you can mix it up a little bit just by doing varying pressures, which is what I do with my swatch list or my swatch page. I'll do varying pressures on the pencils so that you can see a gradient of them. Okay. So there's the lighter color with this. And I can bring it up and just try to blend it there. Okay. So now we're going to go back to let me put just a little bit more light color on here. Okay. Now I'm going to take my medium color, and we're going to come up this way. And I'm still just doing light pressure on it. And then at the very end here, I'll put my darker color there, and then we'll blend that out. Okay. So I'm going to take my lighter color again here. So as you can see, it's got a nice little blend to it, and it really comes together nicely. Some pencils you got to work with a lot to get them to do this, but these, it's really not that bad to work with. These are actually some very, very nice pencils for what you get. And then I'm going to take my darker color and I'm going to put it on the very end right there. Okay, just like so. And then I'm going to take just my real light color and just kind of go over the whole thing and just blend it out. Okay. So now what would happen if you actually wanted more color? let's go over this again. And this time we're gonna add more layers and possibly some more pressure on this, okay? And as you can see, I'm definitely using just the same colors right now, but these pencils are pretty consistent across the board, I have to say. So let's go ahead and take our darker color, and we're going to just run some darker color just right. Oops. Sometimes I end up getting out of the lines, although I try not to, but sometimes it just happens. So I'm going to take my little Derwent eraser, and we're going to go over this a little bit. Try to clean that up. However, now I have erased a lot of my darker color. So what we're going to do, now if the lighter that you put on here, the better it's going to erase. And I'll show you, I'm going to grab another piece of paper, and we're going to do a sphere. And I'll show you, you know, how it erases and stuff. But we're going to add just a little bit of darker color right here. And I'm pressing just a little bit harder. I'm doing, I guess, what I would consider medium pressure on this. Okay. What's kind of nice the way I'm doing this right now is that I like to actually color in my books and show you guys just how it works. Okay. Now I'm going to take my medium color, and I'm going to do a little bit more. This time I'm just going a little bit lighter, and we're going to just try to blend this out a little bit. Okay. So as you can see, these colors are a little different. I'm just adding a little bit more of this other color here. Then I'm just going to soften up a little bit and just make it, just make this color blend out a little bit more, like so. Okay. Now I'm going to take my, let's see, I think I'm going to bring this color into here because I think that's what I did before. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay. Now let's take the lighter color, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to add a little bit more to it. I'm doing slightly heavier pressure on this right now. Okay. And this would work very nice with the blender pencil too, because as you can see, I'm just using the pencils themselves to blend right now, to blend and shade it. And it works out very, very well. Okay. So as you can see, we get a really, really nice blend without having to do too much to it. Okay. Now I'm just gonna keep a light pressure on this part down here. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take my medium color, and I'm gonna bring it over here. Come around like so. And then I'll go over all this with my darker color too at the very end. Okay. Now I'm going to take my lighter color again, and we're going to try to get rid of this harsh line. So I mean, just look at how nicely this blends together. Can you guys see that? I mean, this does really, really good. I like these pencils. I like the color laid down, and I like, you get some pretty vibrant colors in this set. And There's only 72 colors in this set, but you get some pretty good colors. You get a lot of like neutral colors in here, because again, you know, they tried to model these after colors that you would see in a castle. But you still get a decent amount of blues and purples. You get yellows, you get oranges. Okay, so now I'm going to take this darker color and I'm going to just go over it like this, like so. Go over what I did, and I'm pressing pretty hard on this right now. And I'm out of my lines again. Clean this part up. I really love this Derwent eraser. Okay. Sorry guys, got to get in kind of close here. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and take the lighter color and I'm just going to try to blend it all out. Just go over everything with the lighter color. Try to smooth it out just a little bit. Okay. There we have it. We got a pretty decent blend here of these colors. Okay. So there is a decent blend of those colors. Can you guys see that? There we are, right there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these colors away. I'm gonna put the book away for now, and I'm gonna come back with a piece of paper, and we're gonna test the erasability and blendability on some cardstock. I'll actually get some cardstock and we'll do it that way. Okay guys, just give me a sec and I will be right back. Okay guys, so what I've done is I've taken a piece of cardstock and I just put down 3 little circles. Now, I'm no expert in drawing spheres or anything like that, so it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay because this is just for demonstration purposes. Now, I've taken these 3 colors, and another thing that I want to mention in this set is there's not a whole lot of greens or anything in here. So these really are not the kind of pencils that you would want to do, like say landscapes or whatever. I think these would be great for like buildings, brickwork, maybe, you know, that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind too. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put down a light layer, and then I'll go to a medium layer, and then we'll see how it's going to erase. So I'm just going to take this pencil here, and we're just going to color this little circle in just kind of very lightly. And I'm not putting much pressure on this at all. The pencil is just kind of really just relaxing in my hand just a little bit because I just want a light layer on here for testing. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is instead of doing it on the spheres, we're just gonna color just a little bit here, and then I'll go to more of a medium pressure. And then a heavy pressure. I probably should do this with another pencil because I don't think this is going to show up very well. In fact, I will do that. Let me choose my darker color for this. So I'm just going to add just a light pressure. Yeah, this is going to be better for demonstration. Okay. Then I'll go to a medium pressure on this. Bring out the lighter pressure a little bit so we've got more to work with. And then I'm going to add a heavy pressure. I'm really, really pressing down on this. Okay, so for erasability, let me just show you what we got here. So for the lighter pressure, as you can see, that erases pretty good, doesn't it? Now for the more medium pressure, still does pretty decent. Right there. Now let's look at the heavy pressure. It still erases pretty good, doesn't it? You're just going to see that for the heavier pressure, you're still going to see some remaining color. So these pencils, like anything else, it's easier to add more color than it is to take color away. So the lighter you go, the easier it is to erase. Okay, so we're going to look at some more blending for these things. So while we did like sort of blues and purples the last time in the book, let's just look at some greens and yellows here. Okay, so I'm gonna just put down my lighter layer right here, and this isn't going to be too pretty or anything. I've already showed this in the book, but I thought I would go ahead and do it here too. Okay, so now I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is let's go ahead and take the darker color, and I'm going to go around the outside edge of the circle. And I find that I'm going to have to press just a little bit on this. Okay. So I'm just going to go around the outer portion of the circle here with the darker color. I probably should have put down my darker color first. It's usually how I did it. Like you can do it either way. Like if you feel like you want to put down the darker or the lighter color first and then work from lightest to dark, you can do that. Some people find it easier to do darkest to light. It's whatever you find the most helpful, because there are a lot of schools of thought in this area, which way you should go. Again, this isn't going to look very pretty because this is just for demo purposes. I would take my time a little bit more in a book, as you saw with the purples and blues, okay, in the book. Now I'm going to take the more medium color, and I'm just going to go over like here. And I'm still not pressing very hard at all. But I do want to get enough where it's going to blend out a little bit over this. And I'm trying to get rid of my harsh lines. Okay, now I'm going to take my lighter one and might have to press a little bit harder to get rid of those lines, but I do want it to blend out quite a bit. So some of the pencils are going to blend a little bit easier than others. It just all is going to depend. But the lighter you go at first, the better off you're going to be. And not all the colors are going to blend very, very well. Now what you can do is you can burnish this with just your pencil. And I don't know that I have my blender pencil in here. Now one thing that you can do is if you find that you're having a hard time getting the pencils to blend, is you can take one of these Prismacolor Premier blending markers and you can go over it like this, because this kind of helps to get rid of those harsh lines. You can go over it with a blender pencil. You can use Gamsol oil or odorless mineral spirits. And see, now it's, but one thing that I want to show you guys, now the colors that I picked out really are not working very well together. So you want to kind of think about what colors you're going to use together, because as you can tell, it's turning brown. It's turning brown and muddy. So these particular colors aren't going to work very well together, and there's a whole color science behind all this. But there are ways of getting these pencils to blend, and it works out nice. You know, they blend pretty decently. I'm going to get all the color off of my blender. That way it doesn't stick to anything. Okay. So this isn't a really good example of how it's going to blend, but you kind of got the idea like in my book, and it does blend out pretty nicely. Just be mindful of what colors you pick, because otherwise you can get a brown hot mess like this. Yeah, but that's why you want to, that's why we call it trial and error, and you figure out what is going to work. Let me just go ahead and show you what we did in the book again. So as you can tell, you do get a very, very nice blend and color lay down with these. And same thing, you can kind of tell what we've colored here. It lays down very nicely. So for this set of colored pencils, if you just want, like, this is a really good starter set, okay? So if you want to get something that you know, is a smaller set, maybe 72 rather than the 150, this is a good set to start with. If you're going to do some building work or brick work, I think these are a good set to get for that, because these are pretty much geared for that, in my opinion. However, again, just going over the cons of these, these pencils do not have color names on them, nor do they have numbers. You're not going to be able to get these open stock. They don't have color names or numbers, and then the whole barrel isn't the color that that you're going to get in the pencil. It's just you get a representation on the end, and sometimes that isn't always very accurate. So it's going to take a little bit of doing. Like, you're going to have to test out your colors. You know, maybe take another couple of steps to do that. But if you want some really nice color lay down and blending and that for not very much money, this is a good set of pencils to get. I like them. I can see myself using these in certain types of pictures. These would be great for like mandalas even. So if you like to do mandalas or just, you know, patterns, you know, these are some really nice ones that you can use for that. So what I think about these color pencils is I really like them. I would probably give them maybe a 4 out of 5 stars, mainly because of the 3 drawbacks that I had already mentioned. But you get some nice color lay down and blending and you know, just some nice vibrant colors to start out with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I know that this one got to be a little bit long. I'll try to keep them. If you guys like a longer video like this, let me know. If there's other steps of this that you want me to do, if there's some things that you want me to omit, I can do that. Some other things to focus on, I can do that. Because I want to make this so that it's helpful for everybody to see. And I don't want this to be tedious. So let me know what you think about how I'm doing this, okay? And again, I will put the links to the pencils so that you can purchase them from Amazon if you want to, and also the coloring book that I use too, if you're interested in that. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of this review series, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, but better yet, hit that bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Leave a comment and tell me what you think. If you have any questions or anything about them, let me know. Hit that like button, of course. And I will start a playlist for this review series, so be on the lookout for a PencilMania review series playlist. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video, and you have a great day, and we'll talk to you all later. Okay, bye guys.